Evening. I hope you felt welcome tonight by our Finance Director, Kelly McGuire, and our Information Technology Director, Ned Huta. They were our greeters as you came in this evening. If you need a card for tonight's agenda, now's the time to get them. To my right, your left, just ask Cassidy or Colby. They'll take care of you. And at this time, I'll introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you. Again, to my right, your left, Recording Secretary Cassidy Ritz, City Clerk Colby Salento, Commissioner Dwight Selby from Zone 1, our Deputy Mayor and Zone 2 Commissioner Troy Kent. To my left and your right, Commissioner Susan Persis from Zone 3. Commissioner Rob Littleton is not feeling well this evening and is not with us, so we'll excuse his presence. Would rather have him, if he's contagious, be at home getting better than be sharing his germs. Next up would be Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. Actually, our City Manager is on her way. She had to go grab her iPad from upstairs. She'll be joining us. Then Claire Whitley, City Attorney Randy Hayes, and for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. At this time, if you would, please silence your cell phones. We'll rise for the invocation given by Pastor Timothy Mann from Providence Church. That'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. Almighty God, we recognize tonight that you are sovereign over the nations of the world. We thank you for the freedom that you have blessed us with in this country. We invoke tonight your favor and your leadership upon this meeting. We ask you to provide wisdom, insight, and guidance to our elected public servants. We ask you to help them to govern justly and for what's best and right for the common good of our community. We ask you to watch over and protect and bless our first responders, firefighters, and police officers who selflessly serve every day. We ask you to watch over our servicemen and women serving freedom's cause around this world and helping protect us and keep us free. Again, we commit this meeting tonight into your care, and we ask you to lead and guide and give us wisdom. We ask it all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move to 4A, and Colby, if you would, please read the resolution.
Resolution number 2019-177, a resolution establishing the final millage rates to be levied for fiscal year 2019 to 2020, directing certification, expressing legislative intent, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-177, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. Per Florida statute, I'm required to state that the proposed millage rate for the City of Ormond Beach necessary to fund the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget is 4.0870 mils. This rate is 3.36% above the rollback rate of 3.9543 mils. The tentative debt service millage rates are 0.0330 for the 2003 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund and 0.1000 for the 2010 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund. Any comments from the Commission at this time? Tax rate or budget? This is a public hearing. I believe it's the second one we've had. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak or ask questions prior to adoption of the final millage rate? I have a card from Jim Cameron. Come on up.
Good evening. I'm Jim Cameron, Senior Vice President, Government Relations Daytona Regional Chamber. And each year we put together this little comparative analysis chart, this matrix that has different tax rates and the budgets for general fund and all. And every time, I mean, I've called here, I wanted to, again, to commend Kelly McGuire and her staff, I mean, because they always provide any type answers that I need for any questions that I have. So I sure appreciate their help in that regard. But like I said, we've also, long time, have supported maintaining a competitive tax rate, though, that is a means to entice new business here to the area there. We want to commend you because I understand now, if I'm not mistaken, y'all got a lot of the input for this budget from y'all's OB Life Citizens meetings, I believe it was. So, I mean, that's a good step there. But, and again, going back to the budget hearing that y'all had before over there, I mean, so y'all looking at a, like right at $100 million type budget overall, and it looks like a $34 million general fund and such, and you still got the third lowest rate in the county, if I'm not mistaken, right? Correct. So wanted to commend you on that regard. I mean, but we appreciate the staff and council, I mean, commission sharpening their budget pencils, though, and also wanted to say thank you, I mean, for your work on trying to get reimbursements back from Tallahassee or through the federal government for FEMA storm reimbursements. So this is something very important to us. Every dollar helps. And Joyce, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is y'all still looking for some money from Matthew?
I think a few dollars left from that.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Things like that.
No real dollars from Ormond yet.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the type of stuff where every little dollar helps. I mean, every bit helps, though. But, and on that note, might add, we're doing Volusia Days at the Capitol, January 15th and 16th, and I am looking to get an appointment with Jared Moskowitz, the State Emergency Management Director, for this very purpose, though. But in closing, just wanted to say keep an eye on the overall long-term debt. Just keep an eye on that as well, though.
We'll do it.
Again, just wanted to commend you on a good, thrifty budget.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you all.
I need a motion and second to adopt the final operating millage rate of 4.0870 and the debt service millage rates of 0.0330 and 0.1000.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved by Selby, seconded by Persis. The final operating millage of 4.0870 mils is 3.36% above the rolled back millage rate. The resolution also includes adoption of the tentative debt service millage rates of 0.0330 for the 2003 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund and 0.1000 for the 2010 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund. Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. The operating millage rate is set at 4.0870 mils, which is equal to 3.36% above the rolled back millage rate of 3.9543 mils. 4B.
Ordinance number 2019-29, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the 2019 to 2020 fiscal year, beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-29, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I need a motion and a second on 4B.
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-29.
Second.
Moved by Persis, seconded by Kent. Please call the vote to adopt the budget of $101,984,600
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. Do I hear any objection to closing the public hearing? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. We will move to audience remarks. I have one or two cards. First up is Bill Denny.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm Bill Denny. I'm here representing Civil Discourse. First, I want to thank Commissioner Persis for participating in our Citizens Roundtable in last month. I just wanted to announce the focus for this month is on sustainability. And we have on October 14th, which is a Monday at 5:30, Katrina Locke, the Sustainability and Natural Resource Director for Volusia County. And she will be our guest, and she will be there to explain the Volusia County Sustainability Act that they accepted in 2014 for us to ask questions and try to understand the process. That is in preparation for October 28th, where we want to have a three-person panel that represents Volusia County, but also St. John River Water District, and also the City of Ormond Beach. And so far, Sean Finley has graciously agreed to contribute and participate in this roundtable. The idea is to educate the electorate and how the county, the city, and the state intersect to try to make this happen. I'd like to invite you to participate, the city staff, and all the public to come in and share their feelings, their opinions in a civil discourse manner. Thank you very much.
That's in the room at the library.
Beach, yeah, library at 5:30 to about 6:45.
Perfect. Thank you. Next is Jim Schultz.
Jim Schultz, 117 Harvard Drive. Last night, Congressman David Waltz was over Daytona State. I thought I'd go see him. And I thought, gee, nobody's in line hardly. And so the person that spoke before me spoke about the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program and the complete no liability that was written into the law in 1986. And she got everything dead right, but he had a couple questions. So I thought, well, she didn't have the answers. I did. So I went switched my topic and covered the fact that it wasn't the health department that wrote this law. It was the Commerce Department, because all of the lawsuits against DTP were going to put the vaccine companies out of business. So they wanted protection for the vaccine companies. They forgot about the protection necessarily for the people. And a strange thing has happened in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. Right now, there are more payouts for adults, not children, for the flu vaccine. So the whole thing is flipped. And like on Gardasil, they're giving it to young girls at 9. And one of the common things that's starting to be discovered is fertility issues, where the girls are sort of at an early age losing their fertility. And the same for impotency for the males. But again, this is beyond the 3 years, so they can't be compensated a single dime. Total immunity. What I was going to talk about is whistleblowers. Andrew Zimmerman was the government's big ace in the hole expert on autism in children. He changed his position 2 days before the trial. They fired him because he said, well, genetic malfunctions can cause autism. And they had this trial that was going to compensate 5,000 people if that went through. They fired him. He wrote just recently an affidavit saying that he was fired for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We'll move on to approval of minutes. The minutes have been sent to the commission for review, also posted to the city's website. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Just need a motion in a second.
I'll move the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. We'll show those passing unanimously. Those are the minutes from City Commission meeting of September 18th, 2019. We now move to the Community Redevelopment Agency item. The following item is a community redevelopment item. The City Commission serves as the Community Redevelopment Agency of the city and must review this item in that capacity and make a recommendation as the CRA to the Commission. Therefore, we will recess the City Commission meeting at this time and call the CRA meeting to order. As chairman of the CRA, I will open the public hearings, and Madam Secretary, if you would read 7A.
Resolution number 2019-178, a resolution of the City Commission individually and acting as the Community Redevelopment Agency for the Central Business District and adjacent areas, approving an amended Ormond Beach Downtown Community Redevelopment Area Master Plan and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-178, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any cards. Does anyone wish to discuss this item? I just need a motion and a second.
I move to approve resolution number 2019-178.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. We'll show that passing unanimously and close the public hearings. We will now reconvene the City Commission meetings, move to the consent agenda. I have one request to pull 8E, and other than that, I have no other requests. Any commissioner wish to pull anything else?
Move approval of consent absent item 8E.
Second.
Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. We will move to 8E.
Resolution number 2019-183, a resolution authorizing the execution of a grant agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration regarding the administration and rehabilitation construction for runway 9-27 and design engineering services for the extension of runway 9 and taxiway Alpha at the Ormond Beach Municipal Airport, authorizing the expenditure of funds and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-183, read by title only.
Thank you. And I have one card. It's from, I think it's May Rogers.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak upon this. I'm not a very eloquent speaker, so I have taken liberty of writing down a few things to speak about. Some of you may have some questions for me when this is done, and that's quite all right. My name is actually Michael Rogers. MA is my initials. The reason I am here is my understanding this past Monday, the FAA gave approval for your funding for this airport expansion project. I had contacted the FAA previous to that, but I couldn't get anywhere with them until after this was actually approved. I then received a phone call back approximately 15 minutes later at 8:45 a.m. last Monday morning, indicating they went ahead and approved the project funding for this prior to speaking with me, even though I had several pertinent issues regarding this. And once they were, the FAA director spoke with me for over an hour on the phone. Once I went over everything, he was quite interested to hear what I had to say, and unfortunately had already signed it at that time. I'm going to go on with what I've got to say. I want to speak about the way this funding was obtained through underhanded and deceptive practices. The EA report used to obtain this funding has several misrepresentations, inaccurate claims, and even a bold-faced lie or two. I don't know if any of you actually read the whole 537-page report. Frankly, if it wasn't going to ruin my family's quality of life, I wouldn't have read the entire thing either. The report, to me, is the same as filling out a loan application to obtain money in a manner which is not completely truthful. I understand this is a federal grant and you're obtaining just like I would obtain a loan from a bank, more or less. The way this is done, in fact, if I were to obtain a loan or a grant in this manner, I'm confident I would have to return the funds or face prosecution for committing fraud. Because to the best of my knowledge, when you either outright lie or have some not so truthful application comments or whatever to gain these funds, that is borderline fraud. As for the way to spend these funds, nothing was mentioned in any of the reports that I have read, and I've read roughly 800 pages of them now, several times over again, which, by the way, were not afforded to me until June of this year. This matter has been ongoing since 2016, was never brought to our attention until the beginning of this year in February, at which time we were served a notice to owner. Again, the way the funds are being spent, nothing was mentioned in any of the reports that I have read that any properties were to be taken through eminent domain. However, the city has already completed the first 2 steps of a 3-step process to take the property needed through eminent domain. If anyone would like to discuss this with me, I'll be glad to share with them what I've already uncovered from the documents used to obtain this funding. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Any further discussion on 9E? I don't have any other cards. Just need a motion and a second.
I'll move approval of 9E. 8E.
80, I'm sorry.
Second.
Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. Now would be the appropriate time if any commissioner wishes to comment on a consent agenda item. Seeing none, we will move to 9A. I will open the public hearings, and Colby, if you would, please call the, or please read the ordinance by title only.
Ordinance number 2019-23, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the City of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map for 4 parcels of real property located at 145 North Young Street, Volusia County Property Appraiser parcel number 4215-04-01-0270, 135 North Young Street, Volusia County Property Appraiser parcel number 4215-14-10-0080, 205 Highland Avenue, Volusia County Property Appraiser parcel number 4215-06-02-0050, and 195 Highland Avenue, Volusia County Property Appraiser parcel number 4215-06-02-0090, consisting of approximately 6 acres, by amending the designation of 2.52 plus or minus acres from low-density residential to medium-density residential, limiting the allowed floor area ratio, FAR, to 0.20 for the 2.52 plus or minus acres, and reducing the residential density within the 3.48 plus or minus acres from the existing 32 units per acre to 22 units per acre, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-23, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. And I do have some cards. We will start with the attorney for the applicant, James Stowers.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. James Stowers, PA, here on behalf of CST Holdings, LLC. With us tonight is Dr. Carroll, the C in CST Holdings. I just wanted to make myself available. We received a recommendation of approval from your staff. We appreciate working with them, and we're continuing to work with them on the rezoning matter. We received a unanimous recommendation of approval from your planning board, and we received a 4-1 vote from this commission back in August before we all dealt with Dorian. So I am here tonight to answer questions. I'm happy to go through some of the bullet points if you like and recap whatever you would like, but I'll keep it to the scope that you would like.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Stowers? All right. Thank you.
And I would like to reserve time to rebut any comments.
Understood. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Janet Adams.
Good evening. My name is
evening.
Janet Adams. I live at 133 North Ridgewood Avenue, and I have stated my views in the past objecting to this project because of the traffic, and I still stand by those objections. To me, it seems less than perfect planning to dump much more additional traffic into this area because, as we've stated over and over and over, the streets are so narrow and it's just too condensed to dump more people and more traffic in there. We don't have enough roadways now as it is. But anyway, I do appreciate you listening to me, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you. Next is Terry Mercer.
Hi, my name is Terry Mercer. I live at 31 Dix, Ormond Beach. First, I'd like to thank Commissioner Kent for reading my letter into the record for the first reading. I was not able to make it, nor was my husband. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. We're still concerned about the traffic with this development. Our streets are narrow, and every day people are still using our streets as cut-through streets. Just the other day, we had a Waste Pro truck. They were not picking up garbage. They were flying down our street to get to US 1 because they didn't want to go on Granada. I did call Waste Pro and complain. There should not be any trucks coming through our area. So we're very, very concerned about the traffic. The streets are very narrow. They're like 16 feet wide. It doesn't matter whether it's 100 apartments or 50 apartments. I want you guys to please help us with this traffic issue that any development down there is going to bring. And as I said before in my letter, I know the developers have rights, but please remember we have lived here. I have lived here for 15 years. We also have rights as people who live here, walk our dogs here, and our kids go to school here. So I'm asking you to please think about this and please help us deal with this traffic issue that these apartments, if you approve it, will bring to our cute little neighborhood. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Amanda Adams Smith.
Thank y'all for allowing me a minute. I did send in a letter, so I was hoping the letter would speak for me. I don't know if y'all have a copy of it to read.
We did get that.
I was asking if it could be read here tonight, because, I mean, the letter pretty much speaks.
If you want to, I mean, you can read it. You've got 3 minutes. It's certainly part of the record, I think.
Okay, I'll try to go through it as quickly as possible. Okay, I'm writing to let you, I forgot to tell you where I live. I'm 143 North Ridgewood. Oh, you've got it? I've got one here, too. So, dear representatives, I'm writing to let you know that everyone I've spoken with in our neighborhood is very much against the Courtyards project that has been presented to you. However, from the last meeting, it seems as though none of the concerns of the neighbors that came together in all the past meetings and vehemently opposed this project were heard. All the neighbors are very concerned about added traffic, speeders, possible tax hikes to our area, and devaluation of our property due to this project. We enjoy the charm of our little community as it currently is. This is a historic district which is already inundated with traffic on narrow roads that cannot sustain more traffic. We know change is inevitable, and we know that the builder has their mindset to build in this precious community. Therefore, we would be much more agreeable to a compromise, which would be a few single-family homes instead of two-story apartments. Homeowners would not bring down the value of our existing homes. Also, a few homes would only increase our traffic by a few vehicles instead of what the builder is proposing. The apartments would increase our traffic by 107 to 214 plus vehicles, considering the first proposal of 107 units. I've already seen traffic backed up 3 blocks on a weekday morning on Beach Street at the light for Granada. Also, we've already had a plethora of traffic on all our side streets and flying down Little Ridgewood any given day. Our side streets are terribly narrow, so you have to slow to a crawl and get over when approaching an oncoming vehicle. The nature here is home to lots of animals that are already feeling the pinch of shrinking lands. Those trees provide valuable shade, oxygen, and a natural sound buffer to the road noise for the homeowners here. I side with what Commissioner Troy Kent said when he said, what about the people who live here now? What about our rights to keeping what we have? Likewise, Commissioner Rob Littleton felt uneasy agreeing to the new addition. In the last meeting, one of the committee members admitted to knowing the builders and their family, so that is one biased vote. My husband brought it to my attention that on the way out of the meeting, he observed Carl Persis, Susan Persis' husband, talking to the people who want to build as if they were friends and or associates. Therefore, we feel Commissioner Persis' vote is also biased. So, Mayor Partington, we wanted to ask you if there was anything you wanted to tell us about your relationship with the builders, and we would appreciate full disclosure. And we do thank you for your time listening to us, and but that's our concerns.
You did great. You got it in just in time. Thank you. Attorney Stowers, did you want to respond to anything in that? Because I don't have any other cards.
Again, for the record, James Stowers. Just a couple items. One, the item before you tonight is not approving any development. This is the future land use, and in fact, it in and of itself is a reduction of the overall density by 15 units. So this, as a standalone item, will reduce the hypothetical maximum. It's something we talked at length about at the first hearing on this. In terms of the process, and respectfully, if I could, I was standing there when school board member Persis came out, and all he commented was, good luck in what will be a long process as you go through the rezoning and the neighborhood meeting. So he knows the process, as do we, and it's something we've talked about throughout this process, that this is just the beginning. And so we will be here in the next couple weeks having that neighborhood meeting. That neighborhood meeting will be the site plan, the rezoning. We expect it to be well attended. We expect transportation and traffic in that area to be front and center. I will tell you, as we've gone through different iterations of the site plan, we had multiple access points to Dix and or Highland. That's been reduced significantly. We'll show it, and we'll continue to work on it. So we are confident that we can work with these residents to make sure that it's a project that everyone can be proud of. And so I just wanted to comment on that, and thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other cards. Excuse me. Is there a motion and a second?
I'll move ordinance number 2019-23.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Persis.
First of all, I took the opportunity to drive down the streets, and gosh, they really are narrow. They are narrow streets. And I talked to the city manager, and it looks like if something like this is going to go forward, there's a lot of ways to encourage traffic not to go on those streets, not speed bumps, but there's those other speed tables. There's some other things you can do that would, cause people not want to take that as a shortcut because it wouldn't be as quick maybe or something. So I really do believe and encourage the city to continue their good work and looking out for the citizens, because I really believe that's what's in their heart. And they're going to do, and I know the developers and I know the attorney, they're going to do all the right things for the neighbors, because no one wants you neighbors to be unhappy in your development. That is your home. You've lived there a long time, and we all understand that. But I really believe that the people who are going to make the decisions are going to keep your feelings in mind. I really believe that. And then in closing, I just would like to say to you, Ms. Smith, my vote is not biased. I know I was born and raised here in Volusia County, and I know a lot of people. So I know many people sitting in this room, but I'm going to vote and do what the right thing is for our city because that's what I was elected to do. So I just need to respond to you in that way. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we talked, at length at the last meeting about this, and I definitely think that as the project comes forward, the traffic calming measures on those streets, because obviously the situations that they're experiencing now have nothing to do with this future development. So if it's a problem now, we could be talking about that already. And then the other thing is that 1,000 people a day move to Florida. And when people come and visit here as tourists, a lot of people fall in love with this area. That's how many people, probably many of you sitting in this room, that's how you first came here, as you visited here, fell in love with it. And one of the things that's really great about this project is it actually fully meets the definition of smart growth. And, it's, I get it that obviously I would prefer to have a vacant lot in my backyard versus a development. I understand that, and that's perfectly reasonable. But we got to recognize that Florida is a popular place for people to move to, and we have to figure out how to, as we grow, which we've grown very modestly, and even right now are growing very, very modestly at less than 1% or right at about 1% per year. This is a project that is really sort of textbook for smart growth. So on that basis, I will be supporting this. I will be voting for it again.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Kent.
Yes, and I'm going to keep my comments to the exact same comments I had at the last meeting on this issue, and I stand by those comments. At the end of my street on A1A, there used to be a hospital there, and it's not there anymore. It's a pretty big piece of vacant land, and I wouldn't like apartment complexes coming in there. It would change the dynamic of our neighborhood, and my neighbors and we were there first. So I have a ton of respect for Mr. Stowers. I said that last time, and I'll say it again. He's a great guy. I got to sit here next to him for a long time. But that being said, I'm the Zone 2 representative, and I represent Zone 2. And you're the ones that put me in this chair. So I'm going to keep my same vote that I had last time this was before us.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I'll just respond to Miss Amanda Adams-Smith. She said, Mr. Mayor, is there anything that you want to tell us about your relationship with the builders? We want full disclosure. And the only thing I can tell you is I don't know the builders. Apparently, it's Dr. Savigny. I know of him. He ran for Congress, I think, just last year. David Turetsky apparently is here tonight. I'm sorry that I don't know you. I'm a little embarrassed to admit, that I don't know the builders, but I don't. And then somebody named John Carroll. Oh, are you Mr. Carroll? I'm sorry. So, yeah. That's the shocking revelation about my relationship with the builders, is that I don't know them, and I probably should, because they do business in this community. But so there's that. And with that, unless there's anything else, I did meet with Attorney Stowers, who I also served with for a number of years up here, and we talked about a number of things. This was one of them, and the reduction of the density of the 3 projects that have been approved in the last 12 years or whatever it's been. This is the least dense of those 3, and that hit home with me. So that's all I wanted to discuss, and unless there's anything else, Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
No.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. We'll move to 9B.
Ordinance number 2019-24, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01 Establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map. Of Article 1, Establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of Chapter 2, District and General Regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone a certain parcel of real property totaling approximately 1.12 acres located at 88 South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County parcel number 4214-09-07-0030 from B4 Central Business to PBD Planned Business Development, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-24, read by title only.
Thank you. And the only card I have is from Joe Hopkins.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. My name is Joe Hopkins with the Performance Group at 100 Marina Point Drive in Daytona Beach. I'm here to represent 88 South Atlantic, and Mr. Littleton's not here tonight, and quite honestly, I had a split vote the last time I was before you. So I didn't plan on speaking tonight, but I do want to talk just briefly about the request that we put forth to you with regard to the PBD and the criteria that you use to evaluate that. And it calls for a public benefit. And the Land Development Code directs us to a series of criteria in there that are designated public benefits. And in your packet, early on in this review, you had a list of 9 public benefits that this project provided. In addition to that, I'm going to add one more for the record. Currently, there's 9 full access points into this property. And what we're proposing to do with this development plan is to cut it down to 2 access points. So, and I say that because it's, again, another public benefit that we add to the list. So we're up to 10 public benefits for a project that, under the Land Development Code rules, requires 4 public benefits. So that's the game rules of the PBD. It's under Section 2.36. So the request that we had before you, the reason we got into the PBD was because we requested 2 waivers. One was a reduction in the rear yard buffer, and the other was the elimination of a screening wall. The parking, the landscape buffer we talked about, and I think everybody really understood, because it's a direct benefit to the neighborhood and the community and provides additional parking spaces, a total of 37. And through that whole process, it even stimulated the city to look at redeveloping one of the rear street that we abut. And the city came up with an idea, urban design idea, to turn it into a one-way road with parking, an additional 12 spaces, I believe. Another public benefit. So that was the whole waiver about the landscape buffer. It was to create the additional parking, and we see what's happening. It really works. We had John Adams come before you and talk about the immediate need for parking in the neighborhood, not only for his business, but his neighbor and his other neighbor. So, again, project really comes to the table in public benefits. The wall, on the other hand, is something that, we made the request, and you would think that it was a request because we didn't want to build it and because of cost. That really wasn't the reason at all. The reason is that it conflicts with the urban design theme. This area is within, you adopted a district that's considered an urban design, urban overlay district, and it applies the urban design rules, which encourages a mixture of uses, accessibility, pedestrian accessibility primarily, and we put walls up which cause separation. So the wall is actually a conflict in the urban design theme. So there again, I read the ordinance that's drafted, and Mr. Littleton's not here to get his vote, but I just wanted you to understand that when we came forward with this PBD, that it was for public benefit. It's not just for us to develop something. Julian's is going to come down, and this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful place that I think you'll all grow and admire. And in the wall, if it goes up, I hope you drive by and check it out, because it's not going to be right. Thank you very much.
Just a point of clarification. It's a 6-foot white vinyl fence, right? Not a wall.
Correct. It's a barrier. I should be saying barrier,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's a fence. Correct.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That's the only card I had on 9B. Just need a motion and a second.
I'll move item 9B, which is ordinance 2019-24.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I drove by there again today. My office is very near there, so I go by there frequently. And, I mean, look, I'll just shoot straight with you, Joe. We've known each other a very long time. I'm not crazy about having another gift shop. This is another one of these big, gift shops. But it's certainly a gigantic improvement over the abandoned, dilapidated Julian's restaurant building that's there now, and the additional parking well beyond what's required, which, just for the benefit of anybody who doesn't know, you're using exfiltration or underground water retention, stormwater retention, which you could have used those extra parking spaces and had an open pond, which would, in my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, would have cost the owner a lot less money. In other words, doing the exfiltration and adding these parking spaces, it increases the overall cost of this project.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit to this part of town, this part of the beach side, because there are times when we are desperate for parking. I mentioned at the last meeting that Salty Church, they're going to start their construction any day, and when they do, that parking lot west of Lulu's is part of their redevelopment, and that we're going to lose that parking lot for at least 3 months, which will put a hurt on this general area. So I'm very excited about. I mean, I'm very supportive of it. I'm not casting any dispersions on the use, because I'm a free enterprise kind of guy, and if that's what the marketplace needs right now, then that's okay. But I think the other benefits, the one-waying of Lucky Drive, the sidewalk that we're going to get out of that. In the last meeting, I spoke in favor of not having a wall or a fence, but the compromise was the 6-foot vinyl fence, and I'm actually okay with that. But I could go without a fence also, in light of that urban design criteria.
I could definitely go without the fence and a 30-foot buffer.
The problem with that is you lose the extra parking spaces. You lose those 37
Is that 3,
parking
though?
spaces.
I thought it was only 3.
No. You lose that
Is
whole
it 3?
row.
I
Randy,
thought it was 3.
did you want to jump in?
Yeah, yes, sir. Just for clarification, this is a rezoning component. You're going to get to the development order on the next item. There's a connecting point to it, but it's hard to talk about this one without talking about the other one. But I just want to make sure you understand this is a rezoning.
And Randy, I have a question.
Yes,
From
sir.
a fairness perspective, you have an applicant who spent, I don't know, how many thousands of dollars, had his item come through on the first reading with a full commission. Is it appropriate to continue it till we have a full commission?
Well, I think under your rules, what happens if it ends in a 2-2 tie like this, then it automatically gets continued until you've got a full slate of commissioners up here.
Okay.
So you could proceed this evening. If it ends in a tie, you just come back and do it again.
So we may end up back and forth with the same discussions we had last time, which is fine. If you're going to do that, please make them as quickly as possible, and then we can address it again next time. Deputy Mayor Kemp.
To the city attorney, just a point of clarification. Excuse me. That's a new one for me. I thought if it was a tie, it was denied.
I believe ordinarily it is under Robert's Rules of Procedures. I believe that under your rules, I'll go back and check, but I believe under your rules, if you have 4 members here, if an item ends in a tie, that it gets continued over to the next meeting. I mean, I can check. If you want to have your discussion here, I'll check the rules and then come back and clarify that.
Yeah, I thought, the mayor was on a good point there, because there is a decent amount of money that the applicant had to put out for the publication, et cetera, and it was a, if memory is correct, it was a 3-2 last time, and if my memory is also correct, we've had ties up here before when a member's been out and it dies, is denied, because the tie is denied. So I'd rather us get that right, even though if you can't tell, I'm against it. But even though I'm against it, I want to play fairly. So
Give me just a second.
I could sing a little bit if you want, Mr. Mayor.
Didn't last time we voted on three separate issues? It seemed like
The rezoning first, which this is, and then the divided vote, I believe, was on
Okay.
the development order, which is the next item.
Right. So yeah, I'm fine holding tight a few moments here.
Did you have anything else, Commissioner Selby?
Well, I mean, if assuming you're against this, why don't we just continue it? What does it take to continue it? It's going to be 2-2.
A motion and a second.
Okay.
Probably would
I move
continue
we
it,
continue.
and that would likely pass 4-0. But I don't mind. Do you want to make that motion? Is there a second?
I move we continue this item and the next item also, if we
9B
can.
and 9C. Is there a second to that?
second.
Randy, you can email us an answer in a few days after you've had
Yes, sir.
appropriate time to
I'll do
look
that.
through it all. And any discussion on the motion to continue 9B and 9C? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. We will move to 9D.
Ordinance number 2019-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, vacating a portion of Flagler Road south of Broadway Avenue and abutting Volusia County parcel number 3136-01-070-0010, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for recordation and transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-26, read by title only.
All right. And before we move on to the vote on that, Kevin Hobbs. Kevin, I think you were here last time, correct? And so this issue will be re-advertised, re-noticed, and you can join us. I don't know when, but can you make sure and let Mr. Hobbs know? Okay. Just so you don't miss your chance. And certainly you're free to email us or call us at any time. So, yep. Back to 9D. I don't have any cards. I just need a motion in a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-26.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9E.
Ordinance number 2019-27, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, vacating a portion of Gower Street between Flagler Road and the Florida East Coast Railroad, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for recordation and transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-27, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any cards on 9E. Just need a motion in a second.
I move approval for ordinance 2019-27.
Second.
Any discussion? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 9F.
Ordinance number 2019-28, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, vacating a portion of Magnolia Street between Flagler Road and the Florida East Coast Railroad, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for recordation and transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-28, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any cards.
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-28.
Second.
Any discussion? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And that brings us to 9G.
Ordinance number 2019-30, an ordinance annexing certain real properties into the City of Ormond Beach, said properties being generally located along the east side of Interstate 95, south of Halifax Plantation Subdivision, west of Old Dixie Highway, and north of U.S. Highway 1, consisting of approximately 1,055.36 plus or minus acres, redefining the territorial boundaries of the City of Ormond Beach to include the properties, setting forth zoning privileges and obligations regarding the properties, redesignating the boundaries of Zone 1 of the City of Ormond Beach to include the properties, providing for transmission, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-30, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. The only cards I have are from Parker, and Ronnie's here as well, the applicants. Unless anybody has any questions for them, I just need a motion in a second.
I'll move ordinance number 2019-30.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. Thank you. 9H.
Ordinance number 2019-34, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Performance Standards, Article 4, Sign Regulations, Section 3-47, Business Premise Signs of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code, to allow through the special exception process electronic changeable copy signs for the display of retail prices of gasoline, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-34, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. The only card I have is from the attorney for the applicant, Joey Posey from the Storch Law Firm. Any questions for Mr. Posey? It's a second reading. Just need a motion in a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-34.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, did we incorporate the 6 hour? Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that was in there.
Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And 9I.
Ordinance number 2019-35, an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Administration, Article 3, Definitions and Acronyms, Section 1-22, Definitions of Terms and Words, of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the definition tattoo parlor to provide an exemption for the application of permanent cosmetics for medical and dental purposes only, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-35, read by title only.
Thank you. I don't have any cards for 9I.
I'll move ordinance number 2019-35.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Commissioner Selby.
Didn't anybody come up with a dental use of tattoos?
I didn't look at it.
I just was curious. I asked last time, nobody had the answer to that.
You got to call Fred. All right. Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9J.
Ordinance number 2019-36, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 6, Overlay Districts, Section 2-71, Historic Districts and Landmarks of the Land Development Code by removing the property located at 71 Orchard Lane, the Break-In Cabin, from the Ormond Beach Historic Landmarks list, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-36, read by title only.
I have one card from the applicant if needed. This is a second reading. Any questions for the applicant? Is there a motion and a second?
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-36.
Second.
Any discussion? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And 9K.
Ordinance number 2019-31, an ordinance amending Paragraph C, Official Zoning Map of Section 2-01, Establishment of Zoning Districts and Official Zoning Map of Article 1, Establishment of Zoning Districts and Official Zoning Map of Chapter 2, District and General Regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone a certain parcel of real property totaling approximately 3.72 acres located at 99 Portland Street, south of Broadway Avenue, north of the existing storage facility, west of the unopened Flagler Road right-of-way, and east of the FEC railroad tracks, Volusia County parcel number 3136-01-70-0010, from B7 Highway Tourist Commercial to PBD Planned Business Development, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2019-31, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. This is 9K. I'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to speak on this, and maybe, if you can, do 9K and 9L together.
Yes, sir.
Great. Perfect.
Good evening, Steve Spraker, Planning Director. I will talk about both items together. The subject property is located on the screen in the yellow hatched area. The purple hatched area is the first phase of the storage facility. This would be US 1 here, Portland Street would be here, the railroad track is here, and then Broadway is along here. So the applicant is seeking to take the existing storage facility and extend it northward, incorporating the storage. So this is the existing facility. It is used for a boat and RV storage. The applications before you tonight, there's threefold. The first item is to rezone the property from a B7 zoning district to a planned business development. The second is to issuance a development order, so that's the site plan for the project. And the third is to implement a stormwater outfall swale solution to address the existing drainage issues in the project area. This is a zoning map showing the B7 area. The property in the original store was also B7. Given the location next to the railroad track and off the US 1 right-of-way, staff believes that this is an appropriate location to rezone to planned business development to include the RV and boat storage. The second aspect was the issuance of the development order. So this is the site plan that goes along with the rezoning. As you can see in the screen, what they've done is they've provided a large buffer along Broadway. So that is their natural preservation area. They're required to save 15% of the natural vegetation. They're at 22.3%. And then they will do a stormwater pond here, which will provide the on-site retention, along with some exfiltration, underground stormwater. And then these would be the locations of the RV and boat storages. And it would be accessed from the existing site at 99 Portland. Another aspect is they are extending a water line. So they're providing a loop water system from Portland all the way to Broadway, which will help the water pressure in the area. And then they are providing landscaping around the property. This is a exhibit showing the overall phase 1 and phase 2. So this is the existing site actually through Portland. This would be the expansion, again, with the large landscape area here, the fountain, the landscape, the stormwater pond with the fountain, and then this would be the swale system that we are talking about. So the third part of this application is to implement a stormwater outfall swale solution to address the existing drainage in the area. Within your packet, there's a lengthy discussion of the existing issues from the adjoining property owners in conversations with St. John's. So there is an existing issue with stormwater in and around the existing storm storage facility. This site plan seeks to construct an outfall swale that would go along the unopened right-of-way of Flagler, along to Magnolia Street, and then to an existing outfall system that connects with US 1. That is an existing system. One of the key things is basically they have to retain their stormwater on site, and they're doing that through the pond and the exfiltration. The outfall swale provides a place for the water to go. One of the issues in this area is that the land is relatively flat, so there's no place for the water to go. It sits there. It doesn't have an outfall mechanism. So this is the opportunity. At the planning board, we had, I believe, 4 speakers. We've made contact with all 4. We've made contact with the Ormond Lakes HOA. I know they're here tonight, and the adjoining property owners. So we view this as an existing issue, and this is a solution. It'll be constructed by a developer, and then the city would have the maintenance responsibility. The planning board did recommend approval of both the rezoning and the issuance of development order by a 5-0 vote, and staff is also recommending approval of both items.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions?
Stephen, I have a question for you. I met with Mr. Vanacore at the site. I also spoke with Ms. Trescott a couple of times. And does the plan still include accessing that pipe that runs under US 1 and then goes alongside? Yes. Okay, yeah, alongside the bar into that ditch and then across.
And there's an outfall swale that goes, through one of the Ormond lakes and then into the wetlands.
Okay, and so will that relieve the flooding issues that Mrs. Trescott is concerned with?
Yes, it's a solution to the problem. And I also forgot we have the development review engineer here for the city if you want to go kind of deep into the stormwater issues. But the issue is the topography is flat, and there is no there's no outfall that is currently functioning. So this provides an outfall to an existing drainage pattern and will help move the water off the property.
Okay, very good. And it's all being done at the expense of the developer?
Developer does the site work, and then the city has the maintenance responsibility.
Right. And that's for that blue area, the swale that
Correct.
you're talking about? Okay.
Correct. And this is a swale that can not only be used by these properties, but as if these properties were to redevelop in the future, they can also now take advantage of this outfall swale. So it becomes a multi-lot solution. And it's also been reviewed and approved by St. John's.
So I just want to say, however we got where we are, I just really appreciate the fact that, the city working with the property owners and the developer to fix a problem in the area that, I think that's a noble effort on the developer's part.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I have two cards. Charles Ginter.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners. I'm here tonight representing Ormond Lakes, a 600-home community with approximately 1,100 residents, not including children, that have deep concerns of the water basin that extends from I-95 exit 273 south on US 1 on the east and west sides of the highway, and any stormwater drainage issues that might arise from future development of Ormond crossings. The Ormond Beach Plant Business Development is planning to channel excess water from this water basin through the community of Pine Run and down to the Ormond Lakes community. The questions that Ormond Lakes would like answered in written form. 1, can you show Ormond Lakes from point of origin to the Tomoka River, the drainage study that was conducted to support this plan? Number 2, does this drainage study also include the excess water from tropical storms and hurricanes? 3, can you show Ormond Lakes the inclusion of the county in this solution? 4, can you quantify for Ormond Lakes and the village of Pine Run the amount of water being diverted? Number 5, has a drainage study been done to measure the capabilities of our lakes and our ability to handle these volumes so our community does not get flooded? 6, what are the elevation levels from US 1 and I-95 exit 273 to Ormond Lakes and to Tomoka State Park? 7, where will the excess water from Storage Boat and RV Center drain to? We know it will go underneath US 1 into our area. Ormond Lakes is not interested in a 100-year flood event, but a yearly tropical storms and hurricanes that might hit our area. Remember, water runs downhill in a 600-home community at the bottom of the hill. Good evening.
Thank you. And Thomas, is it Anor? Anor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm also with the Ormond Lakes Homeowners Association. I manage the lakes and stormwater systems and have been doing it for more than 10 years. We have no real issue with storage, but we have a major issue with water management. We believe that this storage issue represents a minute part of a gigantic problem with water coming from that basin that's up where storage is and all of that interchange up there. I did some research with the county. There's one pipe, and Mr. Selby referred to it. There's one pipe under that highway to get all that water down to us. Where's the rest of the water going to go when they start developing up there? It's going to go through that pipe? I don't know, but it's going to come downhill. We spend $25,000 a year maintaining the control and water management systems within Ormond Lake's property. This system includes lakes, ditches, swales, and culverts. We are the last stop for the water before it reaches the state park estuaries. I did some research in the City of Ormond land use codes regarding stormwater runoff, and in section I, it states, and I quote, "A positive drainage system shall be provided which will not adversely impact downstream owners and adjacent lands." I don't see anything that quantifies whether we're going to be affected or not. I suspect we are. And I'd like to talk a little bit about something that happened in 2006. The Ormond Grand Special Exception allowed or ignored stormwater runoff from Ormond Grand development onto Ormond Lakes Homeowners Association property. 13 years later, the HOA homeowners are still suffering with the problems caused by this approval. These are unintended consequences, we get that, but they are still real and they matter. We have now standing water, odors, mosquitoes, problems, erosion, and child safety issues. They're unaddressed 10 years later because of the special exception rules. The Stewart issue before us is a repeat of the exact same problems that we had 10 years ago. That what is going to happen, we don't know. The intent is to move water from Stewart and the entire area basin to Ormond Lakes via one pipe, culverts, and swales. The special exception will open up floodgates from the Stewart basin, not just Stewart, but the whole basin and area properties. The special exception does not correct the flooding problem, Mr. Selby. It actually just transfers it 1.3 miles down the road to Ormond Lakes, and we need to deal with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't have any other cards. Just need a motion and a second for discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, well, this is the first I'm hearing of Ormond Lakes having any concerns about any potential flooding or stormwater from this area. And I've attended 2 or 3 meetings at Ormond Lakes regarding a totally different issue. I think we got it resolved. Maybe not, but maybe not to your satisfaction. But I mean, I think it was resolved. And I don't know anything about this, about the elevations and this ending up in Ormond Lakes. So I need to be brought up to speed on that. I don't know.
Stephen, who did you bring from engineering?
David Allen's our civil review engineer.
Good evening. My name is David Allen, 106 Collier, Longwood, Florida. For the last 6 years, I've been the development review engineer for the planning department. With this project, when it initially came in, one of the first things that we discussed was the item that Mr. Gaynor brought up, the fact that a project cannot adversely affect surrounding areas. When they first came in, there were a number of issues that we talked about, the historic drainage issues adjacent to the existing storage, and how that might be able to be resolved. When we dealt with DOT, because the DOT culvert falls under their purview, they're the ones who suggested that we might want to look a little bit closer at the existing situation. Within the right-of-way of Magnolia is the remnants of a ditch that got blocked a number of years ago because there's some significant trees in and around that ditch. But because of that ditch, it allows this area to have the opportunity to drain to the pipe under US 1. All along during this review, the control point for us has been the pipe under US 1. When we went through and began to look at that pipe, we went through the entire system downstream of that, across the property directly opposite Magnolia Street on US 1 to the backside of Annie Oakley's property, under Addison, down Addison, makes a hard left to head west, or east, I'm sorry, and then it turns and goes south again through Pine Run. When it comes out at the very large lake at the end of Pine Run, Volusia County added two 72-inch pipes under Pine Tree. Those pipes drain into a low area that is adjacent to Ormond Lakes, into the two ponds at Ormond Lakes Boulevard and Pine Tree. When I reviewed the design of that particular subdivision, the engineer of record took into consideration the off-site flow into that ditch, through those two ponds, and out into the wetland. So we feel that what they have designed will function very well. What was designed in the past continues to function. And I will remind everybody that the St. John's River Water Management District also controls these types of projects. Their rules are very simple. What left the site in the pre-developed condition is the limitation of what can leave the site in the post-developed condition. Added to that, our rule is a little bit more stringent than St. John's. St. John's deals with the rate of flow. We deal with both flow and volume. Whatever left the site is allowed to leave the site. Any additional runoff that is created by the impervious surface must be held on site. That's why if you were, can I see the site plan? The site plan that they showed, back up one please. The pond is augmented by underground storage under the boat RV spaces. That has to do with the water quality, and it has to do with the volume that will be allowed to leave the site through that swale. As you go through, and each one of those other parcels are developed, they also will have to hold on site whatever increase in runoff there is. The swale, as it is designed now, takes into consideration what we call the pre-developed flow. As it is right now, that's what goes into the swale, and that's what the dimensions of that swale were calculated on. Again, it all comes to the one pipe under US 1, and that is going to be the control point. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Any other questions? Commissioner Selby.
You mentioned a street called Magnolia. Is that the street that's on the...
That's the perpendicular street to US 1. That is an unopened right-of-way.
Oh, okay.
All of the swale is in unopened right-of-ways. Flagler is the one that runs parallel to US 1. Magnolia is the one that runs perpendicular. Once this swale is constructed, the City of Ormond Beach will be the maintenance entity.
So then the water goes underneath US 1 over by Annie Oakley's into
Yes.
that ditch on the west side of Annie Oakley's, goes underneath Addison to that ditch
Underneath
on the
Addison.
north side of Addison,
And then down
and flows to the east, I guess that sort of is. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So
As you
how-
can
how
see,
so how would this water impact? I don't get how this water would impact Ormond Lakes. Is that Ormond Lakes at the end of the red path there?
yes,
Okay.
Ormond Lakes is
Got it.
below the,
Right. So their lakes dump into that lake, that same lake. That's that lake in Pine Run, right?
yes.
Okay.
All of that comes under Pine Tree
Right.
in those 272-inch pipes into a ditch that runs parallel to Pine Tree down to a point just before you get to Ormond Lakes Boulevard. And they have some discharge into that area. Goes under Ormond Lakes Boulevard into the lake on the other side, which is the control point for all of this up that dumps into the wetland area. All of that was included in the design of Ormond Lakes.
So there was a comment about Ormond Crossings. Is all the water from Ormond Crossings going to go through that little pipe under US 1?
It appears to me that all of Ormond Crossings on the other side of the railroad goes south through a number of ponds in the master drainage study.
So it doesn't come across the railroad across
No.
US 1. It goes south.
Nothing
Down
through
towards
there.
the ball fields and the airport.
Yeah, nothing through there on the US 1 side of the railroad goes into Ormond Crossings, and nothing in Ormond Crossings goes across the railroad. There are no pipe systems down through the railroad.
Under the railroad.
And I've walked a significant amount of it looking for them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you for that. Any further discussion?
Just a comment.
Deputy Mayor Kent.
Yep, just to Mr. Vanacore. Thank you. You stepped up above and beyond, and you helped to solve a problem that was in our community, and you didn't have to. And it goes back to being a local guy. You live here. You see these same people whenever you're in the grocery store, and I just wanted to publicly point that out. You didn't have to do this. I see Ms. Trescott is over there, and I'm excited for the fix that this is going to do. Thanks.
Anyone else? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And that brings us to 9L.
Ordinance number 2019-32, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a planned business development to be known as Store It Boat and RV Center, Phase 2, authorizing the construction of a 600 plus or minus boat and recreational vehicle storage facility with associated site improvements to be located at 99 Portland Street, south of Broadway Avenue, north of the existing Store It facility, west of the unopened Flagler Road right-of-way, and east of the FEC Railroad tracks. Volusia County parcel number 3136-01-70-0010, establishing conditions and expirations of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2019-32, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any additional cards. Just need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. That brings us to 9M.
Resolution number 2019-181, a resolution authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a special exception regarding the Wawa store number 5315, located at 600 West Granada Boulevard within the Granada Point PBD Planned Business Development Zoning District, to allow an electronic changeable copy signage for the retail prices of gasoline, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-181, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. Planning Director Stephen Spraker.
This is a request for a special exception. Early in the agenda, you approved the framework to allow electronic changeable copy signs for the display of gasoline prices. This would be the first one that applies for a special exception. The site is located at Tomoka and West Granada. This would be the location of the monument sign. This is the site under construction. It would be roughly just in front of that temporary sign there. As part of the special exception, the applicant is required to provide exactly what the sign is going to look like. This is the proposed sign. It meets all our criteria. The only difference is they are proposing to have the electronic changeable copy versus the manual changeable copy. The planning board did recommend approval 6-1, and staff is also recommending approval.
Thank you, Stephen. The only card I have is from the attorney for the applicant. Just need a motion in a second.
I move resolution 2019-181.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Before you call vote, I just noted we made the change that Commissioner Selby asked for in the Land Development Code, but it didn't carry over here. So on paragraph 5, it should be no change shall occur except for once every 6 hours. So I just wanted to point that out.
So do you need me to modify the motion? Or
you can just include that in your motion in the second.
Okay. So the move resolution 2019-181 with the change that the copy cannot change more frequently than once every 6 hours.
Can you accept that?
Yeah.
Second.
Second. Yeah, second.
All right. Moved and seconded with the clerical error corrected, I guess you would say. And Colby, if you would, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. We will close the public hearings and move to item 10A.
Ordinance number 2019-37, an ordinance of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, amending Article 3, Firefighters Pension Trust Fund of Chapter 16, Pensions and Retirement of the Code of Ordinances, amending Section 16-43, Finances and Fund Management, Establishment and Operation of Fund, providing for severability of provisions, providing for codification, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-37, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any cards. Just need a motion in a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2019-37.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 10B.
Ordinance number 2019-38, an ordinance of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, amending Article 1, General Employees Pension Plan of Chapter 16, Pensions and Retirement of the Code of Ordinances, amending Section 16-4, Finances and Fund Management, Establishment and Operation of Fund, providing for severability of provisions, providing for codification, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-38, read by title only.
Again, I don't have any cards. Just need a motion in a second.
Move ordinance number 2019-38.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 10C.
Ordinance number 2019-39, an ordinance of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, amending Article 4, Police Officers Pension Trust Fund of Chapter 16, Pensions and Retirement of the Code of Ordinances, amending Section 16-74, Finances and Fund Management, Establishment and Operation of Fund, providing for severability of provisions, providing for codification, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2019-39, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. No cards. These are all second readings.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And we move to resolutions. 11A.
Resolution number 2019-184, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach expressing its intention to clarify the utility connection policy for properties in the North Peninsula Water District and providing an effective date. This is resolution number 2019-184, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I have one card from Tom. Is it Glon?
My name's Tom Guion from Ormond by the Sea. So I'm speaking here on the septic to sewer conversion. I believe, did you just spend $1.1 million that go effective today, I believe, from what I understand, to get things rolling on that. I don't represent the group in Ormond by the Sea. There is a group up there. I believe they're getting close to 1,000 members. You know, this issue just started. So it's an amazing thing that's happening there. Unfortunately for me, well, I really want to know what the agenda is for this septic to sewer. And from everything I understand, it's about the environment. That's what I'm told. It's about nitrogen and phosphorus pollution in the waterways around here. Well, unfortunately for you, it's not about the environment up there, because we've already done testing, preliminary testing, and they did 8 wells or more, north, south, east, and west, and in the center of the peninsula. And hopefully you're already aware of this. I hope people are contacting you about this. Okay, you're not aware of that? All right, well, the citizens of Ormond by the Sea and our septic systems are not polluting. The nitrogen and phosphorus levels are at normal or below those levels. Not to mention that fact, also the hydraulics of the area, the water flows toward the ocean. So even if there were some groundwater potential contamination, it wouldn't be going into the Tomoka River Basin and the Halifax River. That's not the situation. So I don't think this is about the environment. If it is, why didn't you do any testing before you spent $1.1 million? And you're terrorizing the people of Ormond by the Sea. We all know how much this is going to cost. This is going on all over the country and all over the state. This is insane cost. So if you cared about the environment, and that's what this was all about, why didn't you do testing first? It's very inexpensive to do that testing. So unfortunately for me, I know this agenda. I've been a property rights advocate, and I've been teaching it, and I've been studying it for 10 years. I've dealt with your mayors before on this issue and other issues. Unfortunately, it goes nowhere. It turns out I was right about all this, and here it is in our own backyard. The war on septic started decades ago, and here it is right in our yards. It has nothing to do with the environment. There's other agendas behind this. There's NGOs and other groups, public-private partnerships, development. They come in and they use city councils and they cry the environment, and they probably presented you with plans about how it's a win-win situation for everybody. But, you know, there's got to be some financial benefits to the city of Ormond Beach. I don't know. But in this whole process, as we're going through this and we find out that we're not the pollutants of this area, guess what we're finding? Who are the polluters of the Halifax River and the Tomoka Basin and the lands around here? It turns out the city of Ormond Beach is not doing a very good job, are they? So according to you,
thank you, Tom.
That was 3 minutes?
That was.
Holy cow. 20,000 gallons of raw sewage, hundreds of millions of gallons.
Appreciate that, Tom. I don't have any other cards.
Effluent going into
we
here.
We just need a motion and a second on this one.
Insane. Well, we're just getting started.
Tom, if you would please respect our rules, we will have order. I'll explain that to you. I'm happy to listen to your crazy allegations, but we will have order in the back and forth, okay?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
All right, thank you.
I move approval of resolution number 2019-184.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I appreciate very much the City Attorney's Office getting this resolution together this quickly and advancing this issue, which addresses the what appears to be the single biggest objection at this point, which is the whole fraud of annexation, that annexation is the real motivation for this. So thank you, Mr. Hayes and your staff, for moving this forward so quickly.
Anyone else? I'll just say, I mean, some of the stuff I just heard was so radically wrong. The entire state of Florida is pushing hard for a conversion from septic to sewer. Our governor is behind that. Our legislature is behind that. And so to hear, I mean, even just which way the water flows is so wrong based on the science that we have received. I haven't heard from any outside group pushing septic to sewer. It's absurd, the allegations. So, but we're happy to listen, obviously, and if there's something that is factual and true, we want to hear it. Apparently, there's lots of stuff going on, but nobody has bothered to share it with any of us. So, maybe at some point that'll be forthcoming. So, with that said. Unless anyone has anything else. Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. That brings us to discussion items. (12A). Joyce, you want to start, or Ann Margaret?
I think Ann Margaret's going to take this.
Okay.
Yep. We're just looking for direction from the commission, and the deputy city attorney's put a lot of work into it, so I'll let her do the
Hi, good
presentation.
evening. Good evening. Ann Margaret Emery, Deputy City Attorney. I'm sure you all know that Volusia County and Daytona Beach have entered into the multi-district litigation against drug manufacturers and distributors. What I would like input from you all is whether or not Ormond Beach should also enter in as a plaintiff. One of the things that they're considering in this, it's not technically a class action, but whether or not people are going forward as a plaintiff is the element of damages, what you can prove on this. I don't think anyone would dispute that Ormond Beach, like every community in the country, has been affected by the opioid situation. But when we've looked at it, talked to the police chief, the fire chief, we found out that one of the major elements that they look at is sort of a starting point is Narcan usage, either by nasal spray or IV. The police department uses nasal spray, and the fire department emergency services administers through IV. The police department has total 10 deployments of Narcan, and those each of those instances and the cost thereof has been covered by grant money. So we haven't actually spent any money on that. Of course, there is staff time, officer time being called to these. The fire department from January 2018 to January 2019 has had 34 overdose calls. 8 of those have been intentional drug use, and they have administered Narcan by IV in those cases. Interestingly, though, in Ormond Beach, the majority of the overdose calls responded to by the fire department are from the elderly who are mistaking their prescription medications, not necessarily drug abuse. Of course, I'm sure that we've had an increase of crime, just in every community, theft and burglary, possibly, people looking for money to supply their addiction, and that could have started with opioid abuse, but we just don't know. We don't have any way to really calculate that or quantify that. So where does this bring us as far as whether or not we should enter into this litigation? Well, no one knows how this is going to all end up. It's really unclear how long it's going to take. what I can say is that there really isn't any downside to the city entering into it, because the law firm who was interested in representing the city would be contingency fee basis, so we wouldn't pay any fees or costs unless that would be taken out of any potential recovery. So there's really no downside to it. However, the city just doesn't have the hard numbers. So if we go to a lawsuit and we're a plaintiff and then we go to prove our damages, we don't really have a lot of those numbers that, let's just say, Volusia County might have, because a larger area, they have a jail that they operate, they have a medical examiner, coroner, they have all these additional expenses that the city would not have. So it may make more sense for them to go forward, because the real cost to the city would be, of course, a lot of staff time involved in managing this. Even if it's being managed by an outside law firm, it would still take quite a bit of time from the legal department and emergency services to get all this information and kind of follow it through what could be actually a number of years. And lastly, this is something that's constantly changing. So yesterday we actually received in the mail a notice of a class action settlement, and that the city has the choice of either going forward with that or opting out. And what that means is there's been several manufacturers of opioids who have decided that they want to have a negotiated class, and they're going to literally put $1 billion out there for settlement. And that doesn't mean you can't go forward with the litigation, but it would be, if you did go forward, it would only be those ones that have not entered into this class. So you can do both. Volusia County is probably going to not opt out of this settlement class and still proceed with their litigation, because they feel they really do have those numbers. Now, looking at what we received yesterday, under this particular settlement, the city would not have to prove actual damages. It's based on population. So they've decided they're going to put this money out there, and they're going to divide it up to every city, town, county in the United States, and based on your population, that is what you're going to receive. What it appears right now under that settlement is that the city would receive $63,000. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's probably more than what we could prove in actual damages if we went forward in litigation. So that's, looking at it that way, it's not necessarily a bad deal. Under that same settlement, the county would receive $940,000. So they're almost $1 million just by not opting out of that. That's what their potential is. Even under that scenario, even though that is getting started, it could take several years. It could take, perhaps, I would guess, maybe 5 years for that to wrap up. And then if we go forward with litigation, we don't know. It's possible that those remaining ones could even move to the same direction. But it's hard to say.
How much is a dose of Narcan?
$46, I think, for the IV. I'm not sure about the nasal spray, but we got that from a grant. So
it's the drug for overdoses. Brings them back.
Yeah,
Narcan's a drug for people who have overdosed. It pretty much immediately reverses the effects of the overdose. And the county signed on for this. There's a potential we'll get some money, but otherwise we won't. I'm trying to hurry along.
I'm sorry. Okay, cutting to the chase. Yep. The county has entered into the litigation. They have taken that step. So I'm talking about two different things, and I apologize if it's confusing, but the aspect of the class action settlement, that is something we just found out about yesterday. But what my memo and what I was first trying to get your thoughts on are whether or not we should affirmatively become a plaintiff in the multi-district litigation that's going on. We expect any settlement of that to also be national and global. I think that's going to be a tougher case for us, just because if we have to prove actual damages, then we may have a hard time with that because we don't have the numbers. And so if we don't do that, we're not left out out of it altogether, because for this one aspect that we found out about yesterday, that we would still be included in that settlement.
And there's no cost and no downside to joining in. That's probably why the county did it.
Right.
Commission, thoughts?
Thought is yes.
Deputy Mayor Kent, yes.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't know. I have a problem with, I wouldn't mind us being compensated for our damages, but I have a problem with, this notion that it's like free money and that, hey, somebody's going to hand this stuff out and we're going to get some. So and also you said it, but I just want to emphasize it. There will be time, there will be effort, because these law firms putting this stuff together, they'll be calling you on a regular basis, asking for information, drill down on this, provide some more detail here, or whatever. So it is, and I think they're motivated by the more cities and counties and municipalities they can get on there, the greater the numbers that they represent, which is going to just diminish. That's more work for them, so therefore bigger fee for them, which diminishes the amount of money available left for the actual injured parties. We're one with very little injury. I don't know. I mean, I'll go along with whatever you guys want, but I'm not a big fan of it.
I'm okay with it. And you guys want to use the same group that the county used? That's fine with me. I met with the other folks. So I don't really have a preference either way who we use. I think if the county's using them, that's fine. And just seeing the human effect on one family in Ormond Beach of the opioid crisis, taking a person who's a healthy, happy, young person, has an injury, and ends up addicted. Just the one makes it worth trying to get something back. And the thing about this is that there's the likelihood we may get some return directly to Ormond Beach, whereas the suit that the Attorney General's office is pursuing, if she gathers anything, that will be put into a fund, and then you can apply for grant money, and maybe we get something, maybe we don't. So I'm okay moving forward with it. Do you need anything else, Randy?
No, sir. Thank you.
I just wanted to say I do, being a former school principal, and I know Deputy Mayor Kent would agree with me, there is a problem. I mean, we've seen the parents come in that have these problems. They come and ask for help all the time to us. So if this could possibly help some, I'm all for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann Margaret. Appreciate that. That brings us to reports, suggestions, and requests. And tonight we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff is requesting to have a shade meeting on Tuesday, October 15th, before your October 15th meeting. You've already indicated that we would do that, and that is to discuss collective bargaining. On November 5th, we have planned a health care plan update. We give you a quarterly presentation on where we are with our health care plans, and we would like to do that on Tuesday, November 5th. Just as a reminder, we have 4 meetings before the end of the year: October 15th, November 5th, November 19th, and December 3rd. We talked a little bit tonight about reimbursements from Hurricane Matthew and Irma. We have received notification today that the state has obligated 2 projects totaling about $90,000, and as of September 23rd, we have a total of $373,000, almost $374,000 projects obligated and waiting for final funding. We've been notified that we should anticipate reimbursement for these projects within the coming days and approximately get $90,000. The project worksheets are still going through FEMA review. Are the large projects, those are the big ones, like debris removal, the Casson Pier, and Category B, which is our emergency protective measures that we take before the storm. We immediately filed those claims in a timely manner, and we anticipate reimbursement of $2.65 million for these projects. So we've got about almost $3 million still outstanding from Irma to be collected. Hurricane Matthew, we have project worksheet 1055, which contains our large projects, like the lighting project out of the ball field, and a few other things are rolled into that. We've submitted all the information to the state. The state gives us a list of questions every couple of weeks. We answer them, and then they send us the same questions, maybe worded a bit different, and then we answer those. But we press on, and we're hoping to get reimbursement for them. We have an anticipated $650,000 coming from those additional projects. So we're still in the hole, almost $4 million for those two hurricanes, and we're waiting to get reimbursement from that. I will note that this Friday is Movies on the Halifax, and the movie is The House with a Clock on Its Wall, and I hear it's kind of spooky. And this will be the time that I think Realty Pro does the trunk or treat for the kids. That's a hugely popular event. We get about 500 or 600 families out for that. And oftentimes the Memorial Art Museum will coordinate with that and have additional things available for that. So the last thing I wanted to say is that we've recently completed the repaving of Orchard Street. Looks really good. I think if you've driven down that, it was in long need of repair, and I'm happy to say that we've actually gotten some feedback from the residents in that area, and they're very happy with that. So thank you for your dedication to that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for the city manager? Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
No comments, thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Claire. City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Yes, sir. Just circling back to your rule on voting. It's in Rule 2.6, Paragraph B, and it does provide in the event less than a full commission is present at a meeting and a vote taken ends in a tie vote, the matter shall be deemed to be continued for further consideration to the next available meeting at which the full commission is expected to be present. I knew it was in there. I just couldn't find it off the top of my head. So.
Thank you, Randy. And tonight we start with Commissioner Persis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, my first comment is I'd like to thank Gabe Menendez. There was an issue on in my neighborhood around Hidden Hills, and I called him. He responded right away and cleared up a right-of-way. It just looks great, and all the neighbors are very happy and residents, so I want to thank you for that very much. It was awesome. My husband and I went to the King of the Grill the Chamber put on. It was just a wonderful event, a lot of good food, and highlighted a lot of our restaurants, and we were all food tasters, and the food was very good. And I was warned, don't eat, because they're going to give you so much food. But I was so glad they just gave us little samples, because I don't think I would have been able to eat all that food. But it was all very, very good. It was just, wonderful experience. A lot of people there, and I want to thank the city for having that big sign out there about, avoiding using single-use plastics and, not using a straw. And it was just a great display, and just loved it. I had a lot of great comments about that. But finally, I was asked to go to Pine Trail Elementary, where I used to be the principal, and I spoke to a third grade class about single-use plastics and, not using straws. And we had a great time. The kids were so into it. They just talked the whole time, and it shows you all these kids just think it's the most wonderful thing. So I have a clip of something I'd like to show everybody from some kids, a message to all of you.
Go. Say no to single-use plastics.
So that's Pine Trail. These are a couple of pictures of some kids. They did some presentations to me about, not using single-use plastics, and they made signs, and they all had like a little report that they gave to me. It was just amazing. So if you don't think kids know or care, just go to a school and talk to them, because they really are into it. So we're going to keep educating, our young people, and I want to thank the commission too for their education piece in our straw ordinance. So thank you all, and with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of quick comments. First of all, the city also recently repaved Coquina Drive behind my office building, and did a great job with that, and I appreciate that. The airport comments, the speaker who spoke tonight, Stephen, maybe you and I, Licklider, maybe you and I could get together with him, and I need to get more up to speed on that issue, because I'm not familiar with that at all. The First Step Shelter Board, the homeless shelter, We hired a new executive director for that facility tonight, earlier tonight, and we had 2 finalists for the job, both of whom were excellent. It was really a difficult choice, although we ended up hiring Victoria Fallberg, who actually lives in Ormond Beach. She's from the Northeast, and has a PhD in psychology. She's lived in Ormond, I think, since May, or early spring. I don't know exactly. And she actually, for the last 8 or 10 years, ran a nonprofit up in Massachusetts that she was a founding director of. So very excited about her. I think she's going to be a great addition to the shelter. Construction should be completed in mid-November, and we expect it to be operational by mid-December of this year. Mrs. Trescott, I'm sorry that she left. Oh, my time's up? Oh, thank God. Okay. Mrs. Trescott, I'm sorry she left. I hope she feels good about the flooding issue that we've addressed, or not we've addressed, but, well, we've addressed it, along with Mr. Vanacore. I think that should be a major improvement to her property. I don't think it should go unmentioned that her land and her buildings, the finished floor elevations of her buildings, appear to me to be, her land definitely is way below the crown of the road, and I think even the finished floor elevations of her buildings are well below the crown of the road on US 1. But also last week, she called me regarding some property she owns on Pineland Trail, and literally within 1 business day from when she called me, we were able to satisfy her concern about a culvert that needs repair that the city will take care of, and I hope she's appreciative of that also. And then finally, just on septic to sewer, thank you again to the Commission for passing the budget with the money to design and permit Phase 1, and for the resolution tonight. I think the support on that resolution, I think that's great. We're moving forward. The naysayers fall into 2 categories, as I've said before: those who spread misinformation, and those who are involved with people who spread misinformation, and then those who are just not accurate on what they're saying, or they use distraction. Yes, I know there's a problem with my septic tank, but why don't you deal with this other thing first? And but I think the single biggest objection really is the cost, and we're actually going to have to kind of roll up our sleeves on that and figure out sort of policy of how much cost are we going to expect the residents to bear, and we're going to have to do that relatively soon, because we're going to need to demonstrate adoption. In other words, people who are willing to sign up for sewer in that first phase relatively soon, like by March, because that's when our application has to go into St. John's for their cost share monies. So I'm just kind of what I'm sort of envisioning on the horizon here. So anyway, thank you all for your support. We just stay focused in on helping to make the waterways safer, and and water really does flow downhill, and science will bear us out, I'm pretty sure, in the long run. Thank you. Have a good night.
Deputy Mayor Kent. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, and Commissioner Selby, we can only hope that people are appreciative of the efforts. I'm pleased to pass on the torch of Ms. Trescott. I've been working with her for 3 years, and I'm glad that you're helping out. That's wonderful news. And Ms. Shanahan, yeah, thanks for all your help with that issue as well. October, Movies on the Halifax, has become the month to go to our wonderful once-a-month event, first Friday of every month, free movie on the Halifax, Under the Stars. beautiful Rockefeller Gardens, the casements in the backdrop, Halifax River with the moon, glistening off of it. I could go on, but it really is going to be a great event coming up here. King of the Grill, Commissioner Persis, I'm so sorry you weren't with us that first event. Commissioner Boehm's out in the audience. He was he was with us, and we just judge the amateurs. I think there were 9 that we judged. That year we judged the amateurs and the pros, and maybe my memory is not what it used to be, but I think it was around 30 that we judged, and they brought full plates. When I tell you that we had the meat sweats, Commissioner Boehm was whispering to me, he said, I can't take another bite. And I said, Commissioner Boehm, you have to do it. These people cooked all night long. And they've changed the format a little bit, and or a large bit. And, it's much more palatable. I did have the meat sweats, though. They came back, and it was a great reason to sweat. King of the Grill is a fantastic event. Have a good evening, everybody.
And the crowd was huge out there at King of the Grill. Great crowd, one of the best yet, and it was good to be out in our gardens on a beautiful Saturday. Oktoberfest that the Historical Society put on was another great success over at the Anderson Price Memorial Building, and those are the highlights probably of the last few weeks since we met last. But some good stuff coming up. Next week is State of the City. Looking forward to that in a new location this year that I think will be well received. Thursday evening, the Daytona State Gala honoring, I'm trying to remember, is it Nancy and Lohman, who are amazing community members, and a lot of good stuff happening in this community, and it's great to be a part of it. With that, at 9 p.m., we will say good night.